Yo, what's up, family? What's happening? 6:30. You already know what time it is. Time to get a little sharper. What's happening with you? Hope you're doing good, having a good day so far, and a good week. Continue to press forward and making things happen. Staying focused on what it is you need to be doing, and probably in some situations making some tough decisions that's going to impact the next move. But make the call. I'm gonna just say that, make the call, okay? Because um, if we fail or we choose not to make the call, that's impeding your progress, okay? So um, whatever you have before you right now, I'm praying for you that you just get that boldness just to make the call so that you can move forward, so that you don't stay stagnant, okay? Need you to move forward. Make the call. Everything's gonna work out, okay? It's gonna work out. Just trust it's gonna work out. But look, I'm out here to do what we do every week, 6:30. I decided to come out here and enjoy this weather along with this beautiful view. Water level a little low, but hey, it's still flowing, so that's a good thing. So, but look, before we get into this, let's do what we always do. Okay, on the count of three, here we go. One, two, three. One, two, three. One more time. One, two, three. All right. So let's do this, right? That was real good today because by the water, I love being by the water. Don't want to be in it other than taking a shower. So, but anyway, look. So first of all, I want to give a shout out to my man Dane Gibson. Him and I met on yesterday, man, and bruh, you absolutely blessed me. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for where God is going to take you, what He's already doing through you. Man, I'm excited. I'm just excited for you, Dane. And so it's just a beautiful thing when you're able to just connect with someone, and then you just try to encourage each other, and then you throw some Christ up in there, and so it's a good time. And yesterday was a good time. I almost ran through the coffee shop and high fived everybody, but I had to keep it. I had to keep it cool, right? So it don't take much for me to get excited, especially when I see somebody doing some things and moving forward and trying to be better than what they already are, which is what we all about. We're just trying to get a little bit better every day, right? And so don't take much for me to get excited. But Dane, go for it, man. No regrets, no holding back, all in. Go for it. All right, so look, last week we talked about foundation, right? And hopefully you are strengthening your foundation on that solid rock, which is Christ. Y'all know how we roll on here. It's about Christ, right? It's all about us getting our dreams and goals established and going for them and writing them down, writing the vision, making it plain, and just going for what it is that we really want to achieve. That's what we're about on here, right? But we also know we got to bring Christ along with it. He got to be in the equation, right? So you already know that's how we roll on here. There ain't nothing changing, okay? But what I want to talk about something today. I'm not exactly sure how this gonna flow, but I just, my wife and I was talking, and the word perspective came up, right? And so I just want to talk about that perspective. And so I went and looked up the. I think we all know what it means, but I wanted to, give you the actual definition, what they say in the dictionary about it, and then we're gonna talk about it a little bit. But perspective, a particular attitude toward or way of regarding something. Say it again, a particular attitude toward or way of regarding something. Basically, a point of view. So that's the definition of perspective. And so what I got out of perspective is that I got flooded with a lot of things, and we're just going to see how this thing flow. Y'all know how I do on here. But when it comes to perspective, we all have one, right? Different situations, different things in that we see and that we hear, we're involved in, different perspective on our lives, on other people's lives, and what they're doing. All of that, right? Every last one of our perspectives, multiple perspectives on different things, right? So, I got to thinking about perspective, and I was reading about Adam and Eve. All of y'all know about Adam and Eve, and Yeah. They messed up. Okay, they messed up. She got that apple and she gave it to him, and he ate the apple, and everything been downhill ever since, right? So, uh, yeah. But here's the thing: like, I got all of that. How their perspective changed because simply by eating that apple, it changed their perspective. Because and how do I? What do I mean by that? And I'm gonna always tell you, go read it. Genesis chapter 2 and chapter 3. You can read about it. But so they walking through the Garden of Eden, right? They got everything to them, right? Also, I mean, everything there for them, right? And and also learned that it was Adam's responsibility to take care of the garden. So, men, if you're not working, get to work. But it was his responsibility to take care of the garden. And the one thing he was not supposed to do was to eat from that one particular tree, the tree of good and evil. So the serpent came, y'all know the story. The serpent came and tricked her. She ate it. She gave it to him. And he put the blame game on her because he didn't do what he was supposed to do. So don't put the blame on nobody else. You own it. If you did it, you own it. Okay? Don't put the blame on nobody else. You did it. It was your choice. But when you talk about Adam and Eve and what they did, okay, all of a sudden, here come Christ, here come God walking through, and they like, we got to hide. Then we got to cover ourselves. So then he asked the question, who told you that you was naked? So their perspective changed. Why? Because of sin. Point blank in the story right there. Sin changed their perspective. And so we got to be a little careful about throwing darts at Adam and Eve because we all have sinned and come short of the glory of God, right? Our perspectives have changed in many ways because sometimes we choose not to do right. Then sometimes we choose to do the right thing. Different perspectives. Hope you get what I'm getting at, right? So when I thought about that right there, I was like, their perspective changed just that quick, just by making a wrong move. And so I want us to think about our situations. Think about where we at in our lives. Think about your financial situation. Think about your health situation. You think about your children. You think about your job. You think about family. You think of it, so many things that we think about and that we are involved in, and rightfully so. But my perspective may not be my wife's perspective, or it might not be my daughter's perspective, or my son's perspective, or my grandma's perspective, or my mama's perspective, or my coworker's perspective, or my boss's or supervisor, my supervisor's perspective. We all have different perspectives. But please also understand this. Your perspective ain't always right. And sometimes it is. But where we get a little twisted with this thing, I feel, is because we are so eager. Is that the word I really wanted? Yeah, we're so eager to want to make our point about our perspective that sometimes we don't stop and even think about somebody else's perspective. We don't stop and listen, which is the reason why we have two ears and one mouth. We're supposed to do more hearing than talking. So if we did, like my wife used the phrase earlier when we was talking about this, active listening. So sometimes we need to slow down. Not saying that your perspective is wrong, and not saying that theirs is wrong, but there might be some understanding that's needed. But the only way you're going to get it is by listening. Now let's get a little bit more spiritual with that. We do the same thing to Christ. We want to hear from him. We want answers from him. We want direction from him. But we don't stop and listen. We don't seek his perspective about where, when, how, who, what we're supposed to do, where we're supposed to go. We're so busy formulating our opinion, giving our perspective of how things should go, that we don't take the time to listen to him as to his perspective about how things should go. So if you don't get nothing out today, just know perspective. Yours is not wrong, maybe, but you might just want to take the time and listen, because you might get a different perspective that can add value. What up, Todd? You stopping and listening, using both of these before you use one of this. Use both of these to do more listening to help you with your perspective. Because see, I'm going to use a bowling analogy just because my main Todd came up here. So, and my wife said it earlier. She's up on the 11th floor. I'm on the ground view. We looking in the same direction, but that don't mean we looking at the same thing. She has a different perspective from up top than I do down here on the ground. And my bowling analogy, this is for my bowling folk right here. It's the same situation. We always talk about when I'm actually throwing the ball or I'm at the foul line, my view of the foul line is totally different from the view that somebody standing behind. They're looking at it totally different. So if I close my mind and only go off of what I see and don't consider what they see, if they are a trusted person, right? If they trust the person behind me, right? Then why wouldn't I want to take the time to listen to what they have to say? Because it could help me with my perspective, which can also elevate me and push me in the direction and get the results that I'm looking for. I'm not saying your perspective is wrong, but what I am saying is that you might want to take the time and listen to others' perspective, because it just might help you get to where you want to be a whole lot quicker, a lot easier. And who better to listen to for their perspective than Christ himself? I always tell you, you got to have him as part of the equation. You got him as part of the equation. His perspective always going to be for your good. Now, that's the one good thing about him, is that his perspective is always going to be on point. It's always going to be on point. He's never going to leave you. He's never going to forsake you. That's why I talked last week about foundation, right? Like last week we talked about foundation. We talked about Matthew 16, and Christ talking to the disciples said, "Who do you say I am?" And everybody gave different answers, right? Nobody gave the same answer. You read it for yourself in Matthew chapter 16. I think it's 16, right? I wrote it down. I think it was last week. It was Matthew 16. Go check it out. They all had different answers for the question. So nobody had the same. But he ended it saying, "But who do you say I am?" So for you, your view of Christ, your perspective of Christ might not be the same as mine. That doesn't change who he is. But he means something different to me than he might mean something different to you, right? Our perspective is different. But that doesn't make me wrong, doesn't make you wrong. We just got different viewpoints. Because why? We're on a different journey. We're at a different point in our lives, right? So I need to stop and listen. Instead of me trying to formulate my response, trying to formulate my objective, maybe I just need to chill out for a minute and listen so I can get his perspective, so that it can help me elevate, help me get to where I need to be. So I'm going to encourage you to do that. I'm going to encourage you, as always, keep him in the equation. And when he sends those people to you, you know who you can trust. You know who's got your back. And there's some folk on this earth you know got your back. They're not going to always agree with you, which is perfectly fine. I don't always agree with my wife. My wife don't always agree with me. But I don't have no doubt in my mind she got my back. And hopefully she has no doubt in my mind, in her mind, that I got her back, right? So sometimes I have to stop and listen to her. Sometimes she has to stop and listen to me. Doesn't mean she's wrong, doesn't mean I'm wrong. But that viewpoint from another angle could be what we need to get us where we need to be and want to be. Check your perspective. Listen. Nothing wrong with listening. You're not wrong. Not said you was wrong. But you might not know the whole truth. You might not have the full view. Your point of view might be a good point of view, but it might not be the whole view. Take the time. Listen. And keep moving forward. I love y'all. I'm going to see you next week at 6:30. So don't forget, pray, plan, prepare, proceed. Go make it do what it do. I see you next week at 6:30. Love you.